everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm here today to share with you my October TBR for the year of 2022. It's winding down, I can't believe it. Okay, so first things first, for October I decided not to participate in Victober this year, which is kind of strange because I have participated for the last 3 years, but I just didn't feel inspired to read any Victorian literature this month. I really wanted to just go with my mood reading and not force a Victorian novel on myself just because it's Victober. And so you won't find any Victober content here, but I think that's fine because there's plenty in the rest of BookTube, isn't there? So what I am going for this month is a bit of spooky with the novels that I've chosen. I've chosen A Secret History of Witches by Louisa Morgan. This is a intergenerational story of mothers and daughters who are witchy women and the things that they do to hide their identities in order to remain safe. I think there might be a little bit of magic in this story. I don't think this is historical in terms of witches as necessarily wise women and kind of the history of how that was interpreted through time, but rather a kind of magical fantasy interpretation. So I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. And I'm looking forward to having some witchy vibes for October. And then my other kind of seasonal moody read is The Black House by Peter May. This is a trilogy, the first in a trilogy, and it's set on the Outer Hebrides island of the Isle of Lewis. And in Edinburgh, a detective, Finn MacLeod, who lived on the Isle of Lewis and grew up there, is sent back there to investigate a murder. Or a series of murders, I believe, that is starting to occur. And then you're also getting a lot of backstory about him. So yeah, that's the next novel I'll be reading. I decided to read 3 books of poetry this month, and the reason for that is because I am doing my art project with another artist who's based out of Indiana in the United States, and we are sending poems to each other and using them as the inspiration for the pieces that we're making. And so I have 3 poems left to choose. I've gone through all the poetry collections that I own and all my kind of collected poems that I love. And so I need to find my last 3. So for that, I got Handwriting by Michael Ondaatje. Michael Ondaatje is a Canadian writer. He's wrote The English Patient is one of my favorite novels. And so I've had this little volume of his poetry on my TBR at the library for a very long time. So I checked that out. The next one is Wade in the Water by Tracy K. Smith Poems. And Tracy K. Smith was the Poet Laureate of the United States. I don't know. I don't believe she still is, but she was in the late 2017, I think it says here. So I love this beautiful cover image of a river. So I'm hoping to find some lovely poetry in this one. And then the other poetry collection I got out of the library was the Mad Farmer Poems by Wendell. And this is a really large and interestingly put together book with some prints in it. So hopefully I find what I'm looking for in these 3 poetry collections. I'm also continuing For the Love of Rivers, A Scientist's Journey by Kurt D. Fausch. This is for my Rivers TBR, which is also about the work I'm inspired to make around rivers. And I'm kind of reading this as a survey for, quotes and just inspirational kind of words around rivers. And so far I haven't really found anything in here. It's very much about the scientific process and the scientists and the work that they're doing in their own personal connections rather than any sort of poetic connection to the rivers themselves. So it's not exactly what I was looking for when I purchased it. I think that the title kind of threw me a little bit, but I am kind of skimming it and going through it. I think if you're really into learning about scientific research in specific ways with specific results and like learning about the journeys of the scientists themselves, then this might be a book that you enjoy. My two audiobooks for this month, I usually only read one, but I'll tell you why I'm reading two in a second. The first one is Dear Senthuran, a Black Spirit memoir by Akwaeke Emezi. This is part of my 5-star predictions list for 2022, and I'm a big fan of Akwaeke Emezi's work. I have read 3 of their novels thus far, and this memoir is really revealing, and it is about their life just as Freshwater was being released and subsequently, and they delve into some really deep and personal places with this work. And I really enjoy the way it's written, which is in a kind of like epistolary way, where they are saying dear Marguerite, and then they will write out the chapter based on talking to that person, and I find it's a really effective way of sharing the experiences. And then the other audiobook that I'll be listening to is called Highway of Tears by Jessica McDiarmid, and this is because I am hosting the museum I work at is hosting an event with Jessica McDiarmid, a study group at the end of October, and Jessica will be presenting a small talk to the group, and I wanted to read as much of the book as I can just to have some backstory on what she might be discussing, and then also to facilitate discussion for the group when she is giving her presentation. This book is about a very specific area of highway in northern British Columbia, where a large number of women, Indigenous women and girls, were disappeared and or found murdered. And so this is a really huge problem in Canada, and I know in the United States as well. And so I believe this book was one of the first to, for a journalist to go in and really start exposing a lot of this, of the inequity and the epidemic of these women being murdered and disappeared. And then finally, I am reading Nothing But the Clouds Unchanged, Artists in World War I, edited by Gordon Hughes and Philip Blum. And this has a series of different artists who were working either, fought in World War I and made work about it, or were working during the war, I believe. And it's a lot of it is responses to this war. Obviously World War I changed the face of the world and brought about a level of devastation that a lot of people felt was unprecedented, and so this book is kind of examining these different artists and how they interpreted this time. And that's my TBR for October. So I hope that you have a really great reading month, and I will be back again soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.